Welcome to the Sal and Scott podcast, the show that covers everything Bay Area sports has to offer and more. Now your hosts, Sal Castaneda and Scott Reiss.
We're pouring a drink, and that means it's time for the Sal and Scott podcast. Good to have you with us on this, I guess, NFL dead period, right, Sal, between the final preseason game and the real deal, which starts next week. I don't know about you, but I'm over preseason football.
I'm so glad that they got rid of that fourth game, because I think I heard Kyle Shanahan say the fourth game was something that they like to avoid. They go in and they put in basically nobody, if that's possible. And so they just got rid of it, which is good. Now we have a little bit of time for the teams to prep. Let's thank goodness that no one got hurt during the preseason, because I really hate that, Scott. So we're coming out, and the next game that's going to be played on the field is going to count against the Detroit Lions.
It's almost like we all get a bye week, right? It's like the week 0 bye time in between the end of the preseason and getting rolling with week 1. Let's bring in our guest this week, a guy who could probably appreciate as much as anybody eliminating a preseason game, and that's Dennis Brown, who played in a lot of preseason games and a lot of regular season games for the 49ers. Dennis, good to have you here, man. First of all, just your thoughts on losing preseason week 4 and kind of where we are right now.
Well, it's interesting. And Sal, you said it right. I mean, with the 49ers history in the last 4 seasons, it's so good. It's a win for the 49ers because they came out with little to none as far as injuries go. And we all know what happens to this team, when you have those key injuries. And they've had a lot of freaky injuries. So it's good that they've come out, that first game against Detroit, you'll have a healthy 49ers football team. And I heard you guys talking about the fourth preseason game. Now, I was lucky enough that I was one of those guys that I was kind of never on the bubble. But when you look at these preseason games, for a lot of these guys, that fourth preseason game was an opportunity for them to maybe make an NFL football team. So, it's great. The fans really don't like the fourth preseason games. Coaches hate the fourth preseason game. But there's a lot of guys on that squad that are trying to make a team or make a living in the NFL that are going to miss that fourth preseason game.
Hey, Dennis, I have a question about this. If you can peel back the onion a little bit of what it's like to already know that you're going to be on the roster. A lot of those guys on the 49ers, obviously a player like George Kittle or some of the main players, they know that they're not fighting for a spot. What is it like walking around campus, around the practice versus guys who are on the bubble? And sometimes guys who are on the bubble, weren't on the bubble last year, but for some reason they're on the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, think about professional football. You're always competing. And, even though you kind of know, I'm a starter. You know that. You're a starter. But you're always competing, because one thing about the NFL is that they're always looking for someone to drop into your spot. I mean, you're not going to play forever. Everyone's not a Tom Brady. You're not going to play for 20 years. You're going to have a time where you look up and you say, hey, listen, they've drafted another defensive lineman, in my case, another defensive lineman high in the draft. And, you always have to compete. So you understand that you are part of a football team, but you also understand that the NFL does stand for not for long. And they're always looking for someone bigger, better, stronger, faster to take in your position, be more productive. So even though you're a starter, you still understand that you have to compete.
Sal, you made the comment, thank goodness no major injuries, right? Which is great for the 49ers. Tell that to the good folks in Jacksonville and LA and Baltimore, right? I mean, Dennis, when you see Cam Akers and Travis Etienne, who was, such a high upside rookie. Everybody looking forward to seeing him down there with Trevor Lawrence and J.K. Dobbins goes down now. I mean, it's got to hurt you as a guy who played the game, knowing how close everybody is to not playing football anymore.
Yeah, you're only a play away, and the coaches know the more playing time you get, the more chances of you getting hurt. And that's just the way the NFL is. And it's all about opportunities. So, a lot of those guys who are running twos and now they're ones, they have to understand that now they have an opportunity to play in the National Football League. And that's what it's about. And I think that when we talk about, you think you're on the team, you kind of know you're on the team. You know you're on the team until you're not on the football team, or you're on that bubble, or you're in the training room, and then you kind of understand what it's about. Because once you go down, it's always, as coaches and staff and scouts, ownership, it's always the next man up, and who's going to be the next person. That's why it's so important, like with the 49ers, to have that depth. And with the defensive line, I don't know if you guys follow the defensive line, but they are deep in the defensive line. And you talk about a D Ford's not being there. Javon Kinlaw did not play in the preseason. He played yesterday. He played really well. But then Nick Bosa's out also. But these gives a lot of other guys great opportunities to make a team and be on an NFL football team.
Yeah, that Tufanga kid looks pretty good. Talking about the D line, right?
They're so deep. And you're talking about Talanoa?
Oh, the kid from SC.
SC, yeah, he's a strong safety.
Yeah.
And you look at Jaquaski Tart.
Right.
He hurts his foot yesterday, and guess what? You have an opportunity, a 5th round draft pick, to come in and start for an NFL football team. So we'll see how that works out. He's fantastic. I mean, you watch him play. He plays at such a high level. He's 100% all the time. So I'm excited to see what he does. He might be a guy that you see doing a lot of special teams his first season, but he's definitely jumped off the page as far as preseason goes, and he's going to make the squad.
You mentioned the the defense, Dennis, even though everyone wants to talk about the 2 quarterback situation, and it might be a cliche, but defense wins championships,
yes,
often sells tickets, right? So let's talk about the defense a little bit more. And what kind of a defense do you think the 49ers are going to have against these teams? I know that the first week is going to be, they're playing the Lions, let's be honest, probably going to have a really good game there. But, when it comes to some of the teams that are more formidable, do you think this 49ers defense is going to be a top defense?
Well, listen, if you go back to 2 seasons ago when the 49ers had that Super Bowl run, what took the team to the Super Bowl was that defensive line. Now, with a pass rush or a penetrating defense or an aggressive defense, it really kind of stutters any offense that you have out there. So I see, you look at the defensive line during the preseason, and they've shown, even with these backups, they're starters now, but they've been playing, on the depth chart, they're 1s and 2 or 2s and 3s. They've come in and they've played tremendous. So anything with a pass rush or a penetrating defense, it makes everything so much easier, Sal. I mean, linebackers have easier time flowing, and then the DBs have a lot easier time covering. So it makes everybody better. Now, I'm a little biased because I was a defensive lineman, and I played on a great defensive line. But I can remember being in the huddle and hearing the guys, Merton Hanks, Eric Davis, saying, thank you for the pass rush. Because, once you have a good pass rush, you don't have to cover as long. So I look back at this defense, and like I said, we haven't seen D Ford. They're saying D Ford is ready to roll. They say Nick Bosa is as good as he was his rookie season, where he was defensive rookie of the year. So I think this defense is going to be fantastic because of the depth, but also with the horses you have up front. I think Javon Kinlaw is a young dude. I think he's getting a lot better. This kid is massive. He can lift the whole weight room. He just has to kind of work on his second move right now. But he's going to be tough in the middle. And we know what Eric Armstead does, his capabilities. I think this defense is going to be back to where they were 2 years ago when they made that Super Bowl run.
All right, Sal, you alluded to it, right? Everybody wants to talk about the quarterbacks. We've gone like 7 minutes here, Dennis, and we have not gotten into the massive storyline. Yeah. Are we really rotating quarterbacks? Is that really the plan here? And your thoughts on what you've seen from Trey and how well that could work?
Well, first of all, Trey is a tremendous prospect. But he's raw. You look at him, he's raw. But when he's in the game, just because of what he can do with his legs, is going to take it to the next. And then you got to play 11 foot. You can't account for any quarterback that's mobile and can run like a Trey Lance can. Now he's got to work on his mechanics a little bit. You see his accuracy is not exactly where you want it to be. He's got to learn how to put a touch on the ball. He throws a fastball. Mm-hmm. There's some things he has to work on. I don't see him starting I think Jimmy Garoppolo's going to be the guy who's going to start come 2 weeks from now. but I do see some packages. And we saw it. Kyle Shanahan, he keeps things kind of close to his vest a little bit, but he kind of showed a lot, last night. He showed a lot, and that's not like Kyle. So I don't think you're going to see as much as we saw this last preseason game against the Raiders, but I think there's going to be some packages that you're going to see this kid.
So, Sal, let me just follow up on this because, all the crazy media speculation now, Dennis, is rotational quarterback play. Like you get a series, you get a series, you get a series. That's a lot different than what you're talking about, which is, maybe a package in the first half and a package in the second half. The latter is not so crazy. The former you don't see in the NFL. I mean, you used to see it in college even more. I mean, would you put it past Shanahan to actually go in with a game plan that says, all right, first drive, we're going to see Jimmy for 4 plays, get a first down, and then, okay, 5's in the game, go get him.
Yeah, it surely it looked like that against the Raiders, right?
Right.
It looked definitely scripted. But again, Kyle Shanahan, that's not like him to kind of show his hand like that. I mean, it worked. It looked really good. It worked really well. I just don't see him giving Detroit the opportunity to game plan, him scripting 2 quarterbacks. I think what Kyle Shanahan has done, I think he's been brilliant with his 3rd overall pick. He has given him a lot of looks. He's given him a lot of different situations. He's given him red zone. He's given him 2-minute, 4-minute, goal line, red zone. He's put him in pistol. I think he's used him. He kind of sees what he's got now. He understands what this kid can do. Like I said, he's raw. He is very raw. And I mean, if it works like that come 2 weeks and it flows like that, because that offense was explosive against the Raiders. I mean, I know the Raiders didn't play a lot of their their starters, but still it looked good and it looked very scripted. So I just don't see Kyle Shanahan showing his hand like that. That's just not like him to let, he's been putting off the media forever, right? Who's your starting quarterback? Oh, I'm not telling you. What's going to happen? I'm not telling you. Then all of a sudden you see this whole thing, this rotating quarterbacks against the Raiders in the 3rd preseason game. So, I do believe you're going to see a lot of this kid come the season when the season comes around. I don't think you'll see it a rotating quarterback type of thing. And I also think it's very important for a quarterback to be in the game, to get a rhythm, to understand how he's being defended, seeing the coverages and kind of getting into the flow of football game. And it's hard to do if you're going 1 series on, 1 series off.
I'm beginning to see a little bit more about Kyle Shanahan and the way he operates. Some people would say that Kyle Shanahan is the guy in the building who leaked to people that the team was very interested in Mac Jones. Now, he's never going to admit it, but Kyle seems to like to mess with the media, or maybe he's not messing. He just is very adamant that he is not going to tip his hand. So following what you just said, maybe he did this just to throw everybody off, just to get everyone in a kind of a frenzy. And then come the first week of the regular season, he's going to be more traditional.
Yeah, and I believe that to be true, but I do think he understands what he has, and I know everybody wants to kind of unwrap the Christmas gift and the new toy, but I think he's gonna really sit back and let this kid kind of learn how to be an NFL quarterback. And he's lucky. I mean, he's Jimmy Garoppolo. We get on Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's been in the league for a while. He's a vet. He understands defenses. He's a good NFL quarterback, and I think he's doing a really good job as far as kind of teaching Trey kind of how to become a quarterback in this league. I just don't see, I just don't see Kyle Shanahan giving up his whole playbook like he did on Sunday night against the Raiders. Now the Detroit Lions are like, okay, now we have to defend 2 quarterbacks. I just think you'll see him, but you're going to see him in certain situations. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be there for most of a football game.
And I tell you what, I give Jimmy a lot of credit for the way he's handled all this, right? Because everybody wants the shiny new toy, right? The fans are clamoring. They want Trey Lance. They're done with Garoppolo. And meanwhile, he's going in, he's doing his job. He's played well in the preseason. And every time you see him on the sideline, he's smiling, he's joking around, he's loose. Doesn't look like a guy who's kind of angry that the kid's about to steal his job. So I give him a lot of credit.
Yeah, he's being very professional. And like I said at the beginning, you understand that there's always someone there to take your position. And I think Jimmy understands, hey, listen, this is the future of the 49ers. When Jimmy came, he was going to be the next Joe Montana. He was hurt, 2 out of 3 of the seasons. And I think he understands the professional part of the NFL football. We need someone that if you go down again, that we actually have a chance to win a football game. And I think Jimmy's doing a great job. I mean, he's not griping in the media. He's not talking about management and coaches. He's saying, listen, this is a kid. He's a good kid, and he's going to be the future. But right now and I love Jimmy. He's like, I'm the starting quarterback. That's the thing. It's his job to lose. That's the thing about it. Now, if Jimmy goes and he stinks up the place the first 2 games of the season, Eagles and Detroit, and then, you move to your new shiny toy. But until he messes it up, he's still a starting quarterback. And I think people forget the last time Jimmy played a full football season, the 49ers went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, things went okay, right?
Yeah. So, I'm not worried about him. I think, again, if he stays healthy, I think what you get when you get with Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what you're going to get. So if he can stay healthy, I think, like I said, it's his job to lose.
During that season when they went to the Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan, it's an understatement maybe to say he favors the run. In fact, I think that Kyle Shanahan, if he could get away with 80% run, 20% passing, he would. Is that different from when you guys played, Dennis, back in the day? Obviously, I kind of set you up for that question because I think I know what you're going to say, but it's a lot more run-based now than it was back then.
Well, no, back when I played, it was all about the run. I mean, you think about, you just look at the defensive linemen now. You look at Eric Armstead, you look at D Ford. Those are basically linebackers, right? But they're Ferraris because they can rush the passer. Now, back when I played, you had to play the run. I played with Michael Carter, who just plugged up the middle. Kevin Fagan, Pierce Holt. These are guys who just held double teams. That's what your job used to be, because first and second down in NFL used to be always run. I mean, if you saw a pass on a first down, it was like, whoa, what's going on here? So, it's kind of moving back. I mean, every team had a fullback, when I played in the NFL. Every team had a dang fullback. So, I think what Kyle likes to run, because the run sets up his offense. And it totally sets up his offense because he wants to run a lot of that edge stuff, and he wants defensive linemen running sideline to sidelines. And then you set it up, then you go down the field. So, I think Kyle loves it. And Kyle's got some running backs. I mean, we haven't talked about these running backs. Look at Raheem Mostert. I mean, all of a sudden you look up, you go, wow, where's this guy been? This guy, every time he touches the ball, it's 6 yards. So Kyle likes it because it fits in his offense. It sets up his offense, because what he really wants to do, he wants to pound it. Then he wants to kill you deep.
What's a fullback?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, my experience with a fullback, my rookie season up in Rockland, Tom Rathman hit me so hard I could have swore he was an offensive lineman. But back in the day, that's what it was. You always had a fullback.
Yeah. Well, look, the 49ers have a pretty good one now, too. Let's not forget. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought up the running backs. Raheem Mostert, look, he may be the fastest breakaway player in the league. And I don't know how many people realize that. He's been hurt so much. I don't know that we've seen him at his full potential for an extended period. And now you mix in Trey Sermon, who's a load at, 235? He's agile, he's fast. I mean, this is a 1-2 punch that could be pretty epic, especially in this scheme. How do you see Shanahan using these two guys?
Like he always does. He's going to use quarter. And here's the thing about the 49ers offense. Running backs get hurt, and he's always, and you look at this room that he has right now, it's so dang deep. It's very deep. And if Raheem gets injured, Trey Sherman, I mean, he's got some move to him. I mean, he's gotten better from that first preseason game. He didn't play in the second, but last night against the Raiders, I mean, he looked like he could be that bell cow back. So, they're deep at running back. I mean, but Kyle Shanahan is going to use all his running backs, and he's going to use all his receivers, which are basically running backs. He loves that long handoff, those in and arounds and those bubble screens. So, that's important to Cal, to be able to pound the ball. And the offensive line played fantastic last night. So, yeah, I mean, thing about the 49ers running back, seems like they always get hurt. If they can stay healthy, they're going to be good in the running back situation. But, yeah, I mean, watching some of that running back, I mean, there's so many different – I mean, look at the receiver crew, the defensive line, the linebackers, the running backs. And I know we're a little biased, but, this is a Super Bowl caliber team.
All right, Dennis, I want to ask you a little bit more about your playing days, because I know that those years of the 49ers were a lot of fun. I used to watch you. I used to watch that team, obviously. I grew up a 49ers fan. And there is something, and I kind of alluded to this when I did that TV interview with you a few weeks ago. Do you ever just get the feeling like, man, I miss running through that tunnel. I miss coming out. And, there's got to be, for guys like us who never play, there's got always the mystery of what it's like to come out of that tunnel on a home game. And, the team that you had, that must have been something special.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this, Sal. When I showed up for work this morning, everyone just said good morning to me. That was it. When you showed up at work at Candlestick, people cheered for you. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing that you have a job where when they announce your name, people cheer for you. So that's something that's hard to explain, but just to rush. Like, I was a Candlestick guy, and coming out, that old Giants dugout and coming on the Candlestick field. And even in the preseason, when you had to walk on the dirt, it was hard. That infield was rock hard. But once you ran down that little tunnel with all your teammates and they announced your name, Dennis Brown, number 96, starting defensive tackle. And the crowd, half the people probably know who the heck I was. They were waiting for Jerry to come out or, somebody, Ronnie to run down. But everyone cheered. And, that's hard to duplicate in anything. And I do miss it. And I try to get my coworkers to cheer for me, but they're not going to happen. But it's pretty incredible. It's pretty darn incredible. And it's hard. And it's hard to understand once you get out of that lifestyle that it doesn't happen every day. Like, what do you mean? People don't cheer for you every day at work? And it's hard to understand. But, yeah, that was a part of my life that, yeah, I totally miss. And every once in a while, somebody will send me a clip, and I just watch it over and over and over again, thinking, man, I was the man.
Yes, you were.
And now they just make sure I'm there on time. That's all they really care about.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny because every morning when Sal walks into KTVU, everybody looks up and nobody cheers at all.
No one cheers. That's okay. That's good. I like that.
Not a word.
Very accurate. Very accurate.
He doesn't get a little nothing.
not even a golf clap. No.
I walk in like at 3:30 in the morning and everyone's
they're asleep.
Down, so it's different. They're still asleep.
Dennis, give us a really good story from the locker room. Pre-game, coach's speech, post-game, media, you guys messing with the media, just anything that may be behind closed doors that you couldn't talk about 15 years ago, but you can talk about now.
Wait, are you talking PG or what are you talking about?
It's a podcast, so I'd say R is okay. Just fall short of the MA. How about that?
Well, there are so many different stories, but one that really sticks out for me though is, there's two. I can remember when I was a rookie, we played that NFC Championship game against the Giants, and unfortunately we lost that game. But I can remember, two different things happening in that locker room because it looked like we had won the game. And if you remember right, that was when Joe got hurt. He took a big hit from behind. And I was one of the last people out the locker room and just watching Roger Craig, because Roger Craig fumbled the ball. The Giants recovered it and they kicked the field goal and won the game and went off to the Super Bowl. But I remember seeing Roger just all by himself, fully dressed. And it's still his game day, his jersey, his pads, everything, cleats and everything, with his helmet on and just being so, I'm not going to say he was crying, but he was very upset just in his locker. Now, mind you, this is probably 3 hours after this football game is over. And it touched Roger so much that he fumbled that ball at the end of the game and ended up being, and it wasn't his fault we lost the game. He just had a fumble at a bad part of the football game. And I remember leaving that locker room. I'm a rookie, and I'm thinking, well, we got next season. But these are the guys who had won, at that time, 4 Super Bowls, right? Back to back, and this could have been a three-peat. And Roger just feeling so bad and so down on himself. And, when I look back, I always think I should have went over there and just, said something to Roger. But who was I? I was just a rookie, right? But him being so upset in his locker, just with his head down. And then as I walked out the locker room, I look over to the shower and I see Joe Montana in the shower. And just picture this. He's in the shower and he's got his hands on the shower, the water running on his back, and his head is just down. And, and I'm walking out this locker room, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, I mean, it's up to me to try to get a trophy back. Not for me, not for Mr. DeBarlo, not for the organization, but for these guys who have given so much, for this organization and have won so much for the city. And I remember thinking, it's kind of up to me and us rookies to kind of do something. Seeing Roger Craig, who should be in the Hall of Fame, seeing Joe Montana, greatest quarterback that I consider ever to play the game, and just the way they looked after that loss, how defeated they looked after that loss. And of course, after that, the team kind of broke up a little bit. But in '94, we were able to go and win a Super Bowl. And I felt so complete, because I always think about that, seeing those two people, because it was like I saw Roger over here, and as I walked out, I see Joe in the shower over here. And those were our two captains, our leaders of the team, and just to see how defeated they were. And I just remember thinking, it's up to us, me, Eric Davis, all the rookies, Dexter Carter, to do something, to work harder. And it motivated me. I was just like, man, and I always had that image. I always had that image of those two players, those two great players, and just seeing, how defeated they were, and thinking that, it's up to me. I mean, I got to do something different next season. I got to make a play. I got to show up. I have to do something. So, that's not a funny story, but that's what when I think about Candlestick, that's what I think about, seeing those two players, how defeated they were.
Wow. No, that's great. I mean, that's for a 49er fan, that rings true, right? I mean, everybody who lived through that era and watched Roger Craig and watched Montana, and that's the kind of stuff that resonates. So no doubt. And any quick funny anecdotes from that period?
Well, it was funny when Deion Sanders used to always, lay out all his stuff in front of him. And he always laid out his helmet, all his different wristbands, his headband, his socks, he's laid out in front of him. And he would just sit and kind of look at it. I think he would, try to, I don't know what he was doing, but he would just he would meditate on his uniform on the ground, and he would lay it out with his arms out like he was doing something. And one day somebody stepped over it, a rookie, and all hell broke loose, and I was like, and this poor rookie, he was probably a kicker or somebody, and he stepped over Deion's thing, and Deion kind of went off on him. So I always thought that was funny. That's good. I was like, well, it's only it's clothes on the ground, but to him, it was everything. It was everything.
Don't step on the logo, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. That was George Seifert. Don't step on the logo.
Yep.
But, another great player, and he was a guy that, he was here for one season, and he won the Super Bowl, and he kept it moving. But, he was another great player. But you didn't mess with Deion and his clothes sitting on the ground. So he set precedent very early. Don't step over my stuff. And he put it in the middle of the floor. So, he had to walk around it. So I always thought that was interesting.
Dennis, you're still involved with the organization, so you still have access to, all these things. You get to see the current guys. You remember the guys you played with. What thing hasn't changed? I mean, they're playing in a new stadium now. A lot has changed, but what are the things about this organization that haven't changed that you still see? Yep, that's the 49ers. Anything?
Well, we always talk about 49er way, and I see, I wasn't part of the team when it was Bill Walsh team. But I was there with George Seifert, and so George Seifert was a Bill Walsh guy. And, all the different sayings, and I see it, when we walk around, if you walk around in the team locker room, there's always little sayings, Bill Walsh sayings, George Seifert saying. And one of the big ones is, you always compete. Like I said, compete. And that's all George Seifert used to tell us, compete. And they have it up on the wall. So guys see it when they leave, compete. And that's what the 49er way is, that you always compete, even if it's in practice, if it's in walkthroughs, everything, that's the attitude. That's the 49er way, to compete every time. And I see that, when I go into the locker room, they have it posted up there, and that goes all the way back to Bill Walsh, and where he got it from, I don't know, but that's a tradition in 49er way, compete. All
right, Dennis, before we let you go, I want to bring it back to the present, just because there's so much excitement about the upcoming season, right? And not just the 49ers, but having the NFL back. I know we got the season in last year despite COVID, but it just feels different, right? It feels like we got more of a head of steam this time around. What intrigues you outside of the 49ers? What do you look at? Is it the young quarterbacks and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and those guys? Is it, the Dak Prescott coming back and the Cowboys maybe being a factor? I mean, there's so many great storylines. Aaron Rodgers last year in Green Bay, maybe. What do you look at around the league and say, I can't wait to see how that plays out?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this 17-game season works out. These guys, when you talk about it, you think it used to be 14 and it went to 17, or it's 16 and now it's 17. So it's going to be interesting to see just kind of how it, do coaches, does it become like basketball? Do coaches start resting players or just how it works? Because, 17, we've had the 3 preseason games. That's a done deal. You got 2 weeks until your first regular season game. Then you got a 17-week schedule, and then you have, a bye in there. So it's going to be interesting to me, at least, to see kind of how that happens, or does it just flow? Like there's no issue, but it seems like the players kind of don't want it. I'm sure coaches don't want it. So it's going to be interesting to see just how that plays out, because it's never been done in NFL.
Yep, that's true. We'll check back with you after week 16 and see how everybody feels about it. When we got that one game left. Hey, Dennis, really appreciate it, man. Great stuff. Spot on with the analysis, and we always appreciate the stroll down memory lane.
Hey, Dennis, can you from time to time check in? This is we kind of want to have you, around because you're one podcast, brother, isn't going to do it, my friend.
the people want more.
Yeah, I have no problems doing it at all, man. I mean, if it works in my schedule, I'm all about it.
We'll make it work with our schedule. How about that?
Yeah. Sal and I have no life. We got nothing to do.
We'll make it work with our schedule, buddy.
Yeah, that's easy.
Cool. Yeah. Anytime, man. I mean, just, hit me up and I'll let you know if it's going to work out.
All right. Hey, appreciate it. Thanks much. Enjoy the bye week. Right. Yes. You get ready for week 1. Sal, good talking to you, buddy.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I'm getting excited a little bit about football season. There's a lot of sports going on, but obviously football is king, in my opinion, as far as the excitement of waiting a whole week to play a game. So we're in for a good season, fellas.
And hey, next week when we talk, Sal, we'll have one college football game under our belts. So,
yes, sir.
We'll get that going as well, right?
Really? Who's playing on Saturday?
Who everybody's playing on Saturday, but I will tell you that my Stanford Cardinal will be playing at the Jerry Dome in Dallas against Kansas State. That's one of the games on Saturday. Yeah.
Right. So are the Huskies coming? I'm a Husky, right?
When do we go to? When do we go?
Are we coming here? Or?
No, you're coming here. Yeah, we got you here. So maybe a little friendly wager when we get to to that. That's later in the season. We got time.
Yes, we do.
We got time. All right.
All right. Deal.
Thanks, man. Sal, thank you. Hey, we'll be back same time ish next week. Jason Toops didn't say a word today, so I think that makes it an even better show.
Entertained. He was entertained.
But he's giving us a thumbs up.
Very talkative guy.
Appreciate it. All right, Toops, good stuff, guys.
Guys.
Oh, you broke the silence. We almost got it in.
Almost.
All right,
Dennis,
thanks,
thank
everybody.
you so much. We really appreciate it. I think that this is exactly what people, you know how these podcasts work. They'll just dial it up when they're on their way to work and be able to hear some truth bombs from Dennis Brown.
Yeah, I love it. All
right, good stuff, guys.
All right, good. We good?
We'll see you next week.
All right,
Talk
man.
to you soon.
Take it easy.